Alright, welcome everybody to the second part of the show. Alright, this is
Grown
episode
Arse Men,
3.2. Alright, so first topic we've already been through, so now we're here again. So let me introduce who we've got inside. We have got...
in the house. No. I'm Nick, aka Clark, Snapchat Clark London.
Alright.
Yeah, I'm the Pan-African Dwayne.
he's going with it. He's rolling with it.
Yeah, it's Mr. D, Mr. D.
Nothing changed, rakes.
And obviously you got myself, the devil's advocate. Listen, let's keep this moving though. I want to keep everyone involved, yeah? Right, so the topic is, do bad children exist or is it just bad parenting? I'm first gonna go to Man Like Rakes. Talk to me, man.
Alright, so...
State your name. Do you have children? Like, we need to know where you're coming from.
I've got one son. I'm very split on this because if my son turns out bad, I blame myself. No matter what happens, I can incorporate school and whatever and who his friends are and whatnot, but I'm gonna blame myself. That's just me. But at the same time, I have to understand as much as my mum done a good job with me, it would have been very easy for me to be influenced by other things around me, i.e. area, school, and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, you're around all of that so much that it can influence you and can change. But there are people that have had good parenting and ended up bad.
So your mum is an excellent parent, or you're just not a bad breed. Basically, like let's have it right, innit?
Both.
Bit of both.
Both.
So she was lucky, and you turned out all right because of her parenting.
All right, pretty good.
Oh, decent. Anyway, D, what are you saying on this one?
Nah, I'm straight. Children ain't bad.
Straight.
Nah, children ain't bad. So if your child turns out bad, listen, I've got children. I've got 3 children. If your child turns out bad, somewhere along the
You
line,
need to find a hobby, bro. Yeah, carry on.
I'll work at home. If your child turns out bad, somewhere along the line, you failed. Now, people don't get at me. Please don't get at me. I'm just being honest. I'm being real. You made a point. You could have done this and you could have done that, but ultimately, you didn't, right? So therefore, the teachings that were instilled in you,
that my family,
the values that we listen, we all know in it. I'm from the era where if I was on a bus as a child on a 202 coming on from Northbrook, yeah, that's the school we went to. Apart from Nick.
Yeah, shout out Northbrook. Apart from Nick.
Shout out St. Joseph's Academy.
Nah, listen, let's carry on, D.
Funny. If I was on a bus and I was making up noise, I'd be looking on the bus and see who's there. Make sure that no one knows my mum, my grandparents, my aunties. Because listen, I was afraid more of what I would get at home than what I would get from on the streets.
But that's the point. From when you're even thinking that, you're already not a bad breed. You understand what I mean?
But this is what I'm saying. Listen, there's so many factors and aspects of that we can go down, that we can follow. But they say it takes a village to raise a child, and I'm in strong belief of that. Now, it wasn't just my mum and my dad; it was my grandparents, it was my aunties, it was my family. If word got wind to any of my family that I was acting up on the bus, oh my God! Listen, I remember one time. Yeah, sorry, no, I need to tell the story. And my cousin, my cousin went to one of her friends' house. She thought she was big, bad and bossy, innit? Went to her friend's house after school. This time we meant to come home straight from school, directly from school. She went to her friend's house, dragged me along. I snitched, obviously, because I was shook.
Shout out the snitches.
I was about 7, 8. I was shook. I snitched. She got beaten. Now, my thing is, some people don't condone beating. That's a different subject. My thing is, it's all about having a healthy fear of your parents. Healthy fear. Not fair, healthy fear of your parents and your family. To make sure that you toe the line. And this is what, there's so many children nowadays that, like, parents are working all the hours God sends and blah, 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 not able to be there for their children, like families were back in the day. But I think it's a case of communities need to come together. Children aren't bad. It's all about parenting.
But it's, sorry, Nick, it's all very well saying that, but it's a totally different world now.
It's a totally different world. But
how it was when we grew up is not how it is now.
Cool.
So.
Oh,
Yeah,
them
you
old
grew up-
man bars.
yeah,
Oh
you
my
grew up-
God.
But how kids are gonna grow up now is not the same thing.
yeah, but ultimately it is the same thing, because if the children that we have now had the upbringing that we had back then they wouldn't be bad breed children, and that's the point. So it's to do with the parenting. Do you understand?
To an extent. Darren makes a good point. What I will say for me, I'll say that
Oh wow.
I've got like a broad,
We're coming to you after,
I've
Nick.
got a broad
So he's only Pan African until the t-shirts run out. If the t-shirt run out.
listen, yeah, they'll be on rotation though. Yeah, on a serious note, like for me, obviously I'm a carer, so I look after children as my daily job, and that's what I do. I've got 2 of my own, and I generally have 3 placements in at one time. I've seen many different types of children, and I've seen what parenting can do to a child. What I like to touch on is what Darren said with regards to the healthy fear of your parents and stuff. Now, when I was younger, I get beatings, bruv. Like, you step out of line, I get my ass torn.
Shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Carry on.
I get my ass torn, do you know what I mean? So for me, like one time I was on a bus and a guy said to me, "Do you want to join the gang?" I wanted no part of that. No part of that, 'cause I didn't want the repercussions of what would happen at home. But for me, as Rach said, we're in a different era. I don't beat my children, yeah? So where I may have feared my parents, my children are not going to fear me in the same way that I feared my parents. It's a matter of different, I think it's now a matter of respect rather than a fear. I feel that at times, growing up, I would do things based on what the repercussions were going to be. And that, for me, molded me as to how I was going to be. In this day and age, I've seen a lot of children where they're not getting beaten. And I think the government has allowed children to run riot.
Of course.
Yep.
So because of that, yeah, I feel that that's why a lot of children are coming off that road.
So you've turned out all right, I suppose. You know,
good, innit?
yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, you've turned out all right. So was the beatings that you got healthy for you in your life?
I think they done brilliant for me. They worked for me.
So why would you be a kid?
But I don't want to.
So why wouldn't you beat your kids if
Because
that's the case?
I don't feel that I need to.
Okay.
Like I feel that sometimes my mum was extreme,
Yeah.
and I got beaten for stuff that I just don't agree with.
Once again, shout out to Mrs. Jones. I see you in the stream.
I don't agree with some of the stuff I got beaten for. But at the end of the day, it made me the man I am today. Yeah.
Okay.
My method of parenting, I don't need to beat. Like I will speak to my daughter, and she will cry, by just me talking. Just I mean, and I feel that is enough. My son looks like he's going to be a bit more of a challenge, but we'll get him straight somewhere.
Nick.
Alright guys. Obviously I'm a father of one. Well, it's not obvious, but yeah, father of one. While I agree with a lot of what's been said so far, a lot of it is I don't necessarily agree with. While yes, the whole government's fault for our children, like we can't always look to blame people. Yes, it is parents make a difference, but we don't know how we would have turned out if our parents weren't like this. Because I had growing up, there's brothers there's one good and there's one bad. Then what is it? It's down to the child. Like so, as much as yes, it is bad parenting, or it could be called bad parenting. In households where both children live under the same house, both the same parents, and one's good and one's bad, you can't blame it on the parents. There's kids. Some of your kids, yeah. Some of your kids are little bad boys. You can tell it already. At 3 years old, you can tell. You can tell that they're naughty kids. And it's not because you're a bad parent. It's because that's just your child.
No.
It is like they might grow out of it, yeah. But it's the individual child, and I don't think you can label if your child is giving you a headache. That doesn't make you a bad parent. That's what I feel that these guys are trying to insinuate. If your child's not doing great or in a gang or something, that you're not doing good as a parent or that you failed as a parent, which is what you said. That isn't what it is. It's sometimes a kid is just a bad breed kid. Or easily influenced by their friends.
All right. Well, yeah, I do agree with that. I need to take it to the stream because I haven't actually said anything, and people are going in. Right, Dreeks Banton has said, down to parenting, there are also surrounding factors that contribute to a child's behaviour.
100% agreed.
Yeah, Simone has said, hi guys, hi Simone.
Hey, Simone.
All right, shout out. Right, JB has said, listen, unless a child has a medical condition, I'm going to ask you to hold on to me here, please. Unless a child has a medical condition, if a child is bad, it's down to bad parenting. Simple. If a child turns into a bad adult, then you can't blame the parents. I'm not too sure where you're going with that. I don't know.
If a good child turns into a bad...
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, may have forgotten that word. Yeah, okay, I get that. Simone Brown has said, society and friends can lead kids astray, even if as parents you do the best you can. Pressures outside the home, I think, make it difficult. And I think that's what touched on in terms of the law to gangs and being easily influenced by your peers. Simone Obenga said, not just the parents though, peer influence is also a factor. I think we touched on that after. Again, I'm going backwards, guys, so apologies if I'm not reading this out on time. If a child is going to do bad, they're going to do bad. You can give them your all, but their mind is their own at the end of the day. All right? So that's coming from Anne-Marie. Jane Curtis has said, I have a teenager with hormones all over the place. Oh boy. Wait until you all have teenagers and then have the same conversation again. Listen, Jane, I'm totally with you on that. I would love to see that. I'm going to touch very, very quickly on, I'm more probably heading towards what Nick is saying. And I've got two boys, father of two. My boys are 13 and 5. I was about to say 6, so they got cuss. Yeah, my boys are 13 and 5. And I think it's horses for courses. I have to parent them in different ways,
Right.
Because of their personalities, because of their natural behaviours. They look very alike, but they are very, very, very different. I can talk to one in one way, and I will break him down literally within the first 2 words. The other is hard ears, and we have to go sometimes a different route to get the same result. I am getting results from both of them, so. I can't necessarily... I'm not trying to say even my kids are bad breed, by the way, because my wife cussed me out. Yeah, I'm not saying that even our kids are bad breed, but they are very, very different. And the style of parenting, I think, has to be adaptable.
Exactly.
Yes, and that's what many people don't do. Many people think that I raise that one that way, I'm going to do the rest the same way, and it don't work because...
But does that make you a bad parent?
Yes.
No, because you've got to figure... You've got 2 or 3 children...
Bad parent is a strong term.
It's harsh term.
It's a strong term, but I understand it. You're not a bad parent, but you haven't quite understood your children properly, which could be seen as bad.
You should understand to do that. You should understand as a parent, yeah, like it's logical to think that they're not the same people, innit? So what may work for one isn't going to necessarily work for the other.
You might not have that capacity in you. That doesn't make you a bad parent. It just means
you're lacking as a parent. It means you're lacking as a person.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Lacking as a person, that's harsh.
Hold on.
If you can't understand...
One second. Finish what you're going to say. I want to pick up on.
All I do want to say to anyone that knows my son, he's a good boy, so I don't think I'm fending it for like the kid. I push it on the kid. Like, my son's good. Right, cool.
Now, I don't think you can say you might not have that that capacity in you as a person. Listen, from you are a parent, it is your utmost duty, your responsibility to ensure you know your child inside out and you provide for your child exactly what your child needs in order to flourish.
Exactly.
Now, we're not talking money. We're talking about whatever your child needs in order for their personality to develop, in order for them to be the greatest person that they can be. So, yeah. Now, if I've got 3 children, like I said, I can't use the same brush with all the 3 of them because it just won't work. It's just not going to happen. Like I said, they've all got different personalities. However, I need to use different parenting techniques in order to make sure they are all at the same level. To make sure they're all not going to be out on the street bumming it or being influenced by their friends and getting into things that they shouldn't be getting into.
Like the lady said a second ago, we're not going to know the outcome of our parenting now until our kids are teenagers. What I would say is that even some of our family's table, we've got people in our family where they've been raised by crackheads or alcoholics or people that aren't deemed as good parents, haven't always been there, but they've flourished. The individual themselves, the child has grown to do a lot for themselves, and that isn't down to the parent.
But that's because they have had the community around them, they have had the village around them. So even if they haven't had necessarily that parent,
So then
they've had the village
okay.
around them who supported them
Fine.
and guided them and molded
Fine.
them.
So then, is it bad parenting, or is it that we don't have the village anymore? The village
That's
culture.
most definitely a factor, and that's what I said before. The whole family, the unity isn't there anymore in terms of the whole community. It's not there anymore.
What I will say is
I think that's an interesting point that Darren's touched on. We probably need to come back and kind of discuss that as well.
Which is what I'm kind of going to follow on from. I think growing up, a lot of us had our grandparents around. A lot of us were not raised by grandparents, but we spent a lot of time with our grandparents in our grandparents' house during the 6 weeks holidays. I know I was always at like my grandparents' house, and I think that's missing as a whole now. Generally, like kids are left to go to breakfast club, after school club, and all them things there. Some kids almost grew up in their grandparents' house also, like during the living there, because it wasn't that easy to get. Well, it was pretty easy to get social housing than it is now, but we all grew up in the same household. So I think there you had almost different layers of parenting. But even then, kids still came out of that environment and were bad breed.
So do you think that, and just trying to touch on your point and get a clear understanding of what you mean, do you think that you was getting different perspective in terms of the parenting because it's coming from different generations? So the grandparents and your mother and father obviously had an influence on you.
I think it's personally like I'm not gonna take credit away from my mum, but I think my successes are not down to me, but a lot of the stuff that a lot of things that I've learned and a lot of my mindset isn't shared by either parent I have. So I can't attribute that to my parents because it's me.
Yeah, but
So
That's not that bad and good though.
Yeah, no. It's about core values. Yeah, what the core values that you instilled in the child will last them for a lifetime. Now, of course, our mind frame and our mindsets are going to be totally different to our parents because, like we already said, it's a different era. It's a totally different time that we're living in, different technology, etc. But the core values that you instill in your child will last them for a lifetime.
Okay, yeah,
like the people. Listen, all of my friends that I have to this date, none of them are bad people. Like we've all been in situations where we could have gone that way and it could have ended up a different scenario, but we've stayed clear of that.
But what is not a bad person?
Huh?
What is not a bad person? If you've been to jail, are you a bad breed?
No. Yeah, if you've been to jail, you're a bad breed.
Okay.
No. That's not always the case.
You're a bad breed.
You can't say that. You can't say that. There are different reasons for
That's so harsh.
That's
Outside the man.
all right, listen, let me go to Marlon on this one.
Oh shit.
Sorry, just in reaction to something Nick said earlier. You can have parents of totally different mindsets to you, but the way they may have raised you would have been to be different. So let's say I'm quiet. I raised my son to be more open and to communicate more and have certain drives that I didn't have when I was younger. So your parents could have done that, and that's the reason why you are the way you are.
That's an interesting point.
That's fair. I accept that. I think so. Just going back on that last one, I think now we need to almost define what defines a bad breed, because what they're saying is that if someone's been in jail, that they're not a bad breed.
It's not always that simple. It's not that simple.
So then,
Yeah, it's definitely. I think that was in jest. I think that was in jest, to be honest.
Okay, so fine. So what makes you bad breed then? What means that you failed as a parent? If your child's what?
If your child doesn't understand, the difference between right or not even understand it.
No, I think that's the point. Yeah.
If they choose, to go a route where they know it's not the right route and they continue to go with that despite the consequences.
Let's go in prison then.
No, you might make mistakes. You might make a mistake,
but you know that you're doing wrong.
No, but you may make, for example, you might make you're suffering and you do something just to get your leg up. You've made a simple mistake. Now, if you're on a different level and you're rolling down the street, you see a man, you're banging him up, taking his money. That's not a mistake, innit? Like you are actively
Training. You are a training bad breed. Honestly.
actively on the wrong path, and you're.
So what do you mean? If it's consistent?
I think
consistency. Let me
go on.
It's not about consistency. It's about the act. Yeah. Like I said, I could go down the road and be an opportunist and just still I see some money hanging out of the cash one and I steal it. It isn't right, but I'm taking it as an opportunity. I walk down the road now, I see two youths down and I bang them up and I take the money. That ain't the same as what I just did.
The thing is,
okay,
Nick knows.
It's the motivation.
All right, guys. I need to obviously say some stuff that's been in the stream because I'm actually so far behind that I'm losing some comments. So apologies. Jeffrey has said kids that need the fear of parents, the fact that they are not scared, they just don't care anymore.
I agree with that.
Coco has said times have changed now. Parenting is not the same. You have kids having kids. They can barely look after themselves. I think that's a good point.
I've seen it, bro.
All right.
Exactly. Then that comes back down to parenting.
Yeah, 100%. Fliss has said, before I had a baby, I would say bad parenting. Now I have a baby, I realise I imagine she's going to continue that somewhere, I'm sorry, from a young age that they can show signs of being a bad breed. That's interesting.
What, from a baby? Nah, I can't agree with that.
Interesting. We can't dismiss it though.
That's harsh.
I don't agree with that.
Nah, man. They start molding themselves at 4 or 5 years old.
I think. Yeah, go on.
Children will do whatever they're allowed to get away with. That's true. If
Yeah.
you do not instill discipline in a child's life from early on, and I'm not talking about beating or smacking, nothing like that. I'm talking about instilling discipline in a child's life from early on, then of course they're going to show signs of bad breed. Children will do exactly what they're allowed to get away with. It's as simple as that.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, then I need to speak about Jeff Banks has said, when I was younger, I got caught robbing from QuickSafe and I shout out the QuickSafe crew, yeah, and the beating my mum gave me.
That's how you know it's old.
No, hear his point though. Hear
People don't even know what he's
I
talking
know.
about.
All right, QuickSafe was a cheap little store similar to Aldi's and Lidl's, yeah, when we was younger. All right, but and the beating my mum, and this is what I'm saying. Jeffrey spelt quick with the QUICK. No, it was K. I swear it was like quick. Was it?
It was K.
Something it was K. Yeah. But anyway, he said that the beating my mum gave me never made me want to steal again. I didn't even care about the pops. I'm just lucky my mum never told my dad. All right. Leon Brown has actually said, and this is quite a good point. I've actually read this one. What you're saying, I think this one's out to Dwayne. What you're saying doesn't add up. Beating has made you a success, but you don't beat. So is it fair to say that the being beaten has shown you how not to discipline a child? I think that's actually a very good point.
There's not one way to success at the end of the day. There are many different avenues that you can take to be a success. Now, as far as I'm concerned, beating may have worked for my mum, but I don't feel that I need to do that. Because as far as I'm concerned, I believe that me speaking to my child is a far better approach,
More effective.
and I feel that it's more effective, as Nick has just pointed out. I've seen children come from some different backgrounds, and I've seen them come from being beaten, and they're still running riot. So it doesn't necessarily work for every child. There are, like Darren said earlier, every different child you have to approach differently. Yeah. For example, my son Cassidy, I don't think me beating him would get me anywhere. Yeah. You take the beating and then move on. Yeah, that's just the way he is. Yeah, so I don't think that avenue would get me. With my daughter, probably if I chose to beat her, she would fear that because she's a girl and she is the way which is very emotionally built. But my son wouldn't work that direction. So I don't agree with the fact that just because one way works for my mum, that I must roll with that.
I just want to put something out into the ether as well, and I'm going to move on from it, which is a little bit evil, but I'm going to do it anyway. But beating, you mentioned your daughter, and it just kind of made me think. Beating your daughter, to link it to the previous conversation that we just had, in terms of acceptable, would that be a sign?
I don't think.
Listen, I'm just putting that out there in the ether, devil's advocate. Let's move on. Right. Carlene Wilson has said, I have a daughter and I believe it's about what you put into your child. My daughter knows from time I talk, she needs to listen.
Yes.
But I see many children that will talk back, swearing a lot. Listen, I've seen a few.
Who? Swear.
Listen.
Swear to who? Please swear at me. Please swear at me.
Listen,
Well, what's gonna happen?
she said that.
You
She said
get a
that.
beating. I said it. You'll get beaten. Yeah, I'm not having to swear. You can't be swearing.
No, but this is what I'm saying. This is the levels, though. This is the levels, because I can't see in any way, shape, or form how you can allow your child to sit there and swear at you. Like, in what life form is that acceptable?
Have you never seen when they're hitting their parents?
Big man, I can't listen.
Shut up, Dad.
Listen,
I want it now.
I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna be real. I've seen a few Archies and a few Tommies swearing at their mum and dad, yeah. But I've seen a few Shaquans, yeah, as well, getting away with some bullshit, which is just not gonna be tolerated. Not in the Jackson household. All right, listen, a couple more that I need to read out. Someone's actually said about obviously the things that they're exposed to, such as Grand Theft Auto. You know, the violent games, the things does that make?
I'm not buying into that solely because I grew up watching kung fu films, like
Cops and robbers, all them.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. I grew up with cops and robbers, all that. It didn't influence my life. For me, if you allow a game to influence your child, that means you're not putting in enough. Because a game shouldn't, you shouldn't play a game and instantly want to go out and rob people. That means you're not doing something on your end.
The balance is wrong somewhere.
Yeah.
If they're going more to the negative, to that little piece of negative they're seeing,
Otherwise,
we're not putting enough positive into them.
We can associate that with video games, music, TV programs. We can go on and on and on. At the end of the day, you got to stop somewhere.
Right. I personally think, I do think there's a correlation between video games, music, and blah, blah, blah. My son, my eldest son is 6 years old. And, bruv, no matter what music I introduce him to, he just loves like road music. He loves grime. He loves like he loves gigs. Do you know what I mean? He loves it. Like if I put on Heart and I'm playing tunes in a car and I'm like, Bran, you feeling this tune?
No, B.
If I switch it on to a pirate radio station and you hear gigs or Skepta or Stormzy, Bran, you feel it? Yeah, Dad.
But
yeah.
you must like it. You must like it.
But what I'm saying is, what I do to counterbalance, because I do feel like if you're just ploughing that into them, then they are going to think that it's okay to speak a certain way and the dialects and whatnot and rare is going to change. But what I do is, when he's listening to these things, I'm making sure I'm instilling to him that, listen, swearing is not acceptable, it's not cool in any way, shape or form. I don't want to hear any of that coming out of your mouth. Do you know what I mean? When you speak, like when he's doing his spelling, when he's doing his writing and his grammar and blah blah, I'm making sure your grammar is on point. You don't no slang words, nothing like that.
That's
You make sure you come correct. Do you understand? So you've got to counterbalance. You can't kind of shelter your children away from certain things. They're going to be exposed to certain things at certain times, but you have to put in the work in order to counterbalance that.
Agreed. And it's what it's what Darren is saying. I think some people like they say if they say something one time and be like no swearing, and then like they kind of get comfortable. You have to stay on them. You have to constantly be on them. This is the right way to do things. This is the wrong way to do things. And you can't get complacent. You need to constantly be on it.
So then, I'm interested to know you guys' thoughts on the pastor's daughter syndrome then, because
sorry, rotted.
That's like forbidden fruit, isn't it?
no, but well, you tell me, because pastor's daughters historically.
Loose cannons.
Hold on. Historically, what?
They're loose cannons. We're not going to shy away from it.
Nah, I think this is a myth. I think that no one's got no statistics to kind of prove this.
Hold on.
This is a myth.
Historically, what then?
He's getting on something.
Finish your point, please.
Historically, pastors' daughters and people that have been sheltered from a certain life are more.
Don't sugarcoat, man.
No, I'm trying to find how to. Okay, are more
Loose.
worldly.
You're sugarcoating, man.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Worldly isn't.
Listen.
Worldly isn't explained.
One second. Let me just say something. Right, Nick, Clark, whatever you want to be called today. Yeah, we're grown arse men out here. Yeah, I'm not used to seeing you trying to mince your words. Please don't do it in my presence again. Let's just talk the thing, innit?
All right, one sec. So, pastor daughters are notoriously hoes. Yeah?
There we go.
you go.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Let's not shoot him. He might just be the messenger. Carry on.
Not just normal hoes. Yeah. They're like super hoes.
Oh, wow.
So why would someone that's been brought up in the church through a pastor's, why would they then be? Because I assume that's good parenting.
Sorry. Did you say super hoes?
Super hoes, you know.
Wow.
Extreme.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I think that's such a generalized.
Sorry, Nick hadn't finished. Nick hadn't finished.
Oh, so he's got more?
And yeah, why they become super hoes? Because they're deceitful to their parents and they lie and all this stuff generally. So in in that instance, why would they, using Darren's example of the gigs and being exposed to certain things, why would they then become that way?
Because
touch on that,
one second, sorry. Let me respond and defend.
And then I'm gonna take it to the stream after
Yeah, because I
that.
want to hear what people got to say.
Yeah.
But like I said, you cannot shelter your children from certain things throughout their entire childhood. It can't, because that's when it backfires. And the example you've used is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. A pastor's daughter is
Completely
sheltered. Is sheltered. You think a pastor's daughter can go raving? Can go to friggin', I don't know, can go to whatever rave there is and
She's gonna say something real old like fridge bar or something like that.
I was gonna say Eskimo dance.
Eskimo. Rose.
Yeah, like that's not gonna happen. You think a pastor's gonna allow his daughter to get away with anything? That's worldly. No way. No way.
All right, listen. Let's see what the people are saying. All right, cool. Right. Mervyn Henry said the parent is not in control when the child leaves the house, no matter what discipline is installed in the household. All right, this is going back some as well. Anne Maria said, would you say single parenting contributes to how the child behaves?
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think Leon Brown also made a point on that. Single parenting a major contribution if done incorrectly.
Can be.
Yeah. Keisha Martin has said, yes, adaptable parenting is a must. Every child is an individual. Big up Keisha on that one. I'm in total agreement with you.
Yeah.
Influence plays a big part. That's from Jovan. Cartrice has said, really enjoying this subject, but I can't type everything I want to say. Laugh at that. We leave live chats. Listen, watch out for phone calls. Might be coming soon. You never know. We've got here, G has said, grandparents had discipline, 100%. Tanika Robertson has said, it's not 100% about parenting. There are many different influences, including outside factors. One of the main factors for children is when parents split up. That's interesting. Some children don't ever see their parents together though. That's something to kind of throw out there. Shireen Theodore said, totally agree with the grandparents example. So we are really going back. Selena said it takes a child to raise a village. I think that's touching on Darren's point. Simona said, I agree on the community factor. When we grew up, our parents, friends and their children were always around us and a positive influence on us and how we behave. I don't think that exists much now with the young.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right.
That's gentrification.
I'm going to read out a couple more. Dion Maxwell said, it's a nature versus nurture argument. Parenting is an influence, but so are so many other things. Although there may not be the traditional idea of a village, there is a new age idea of a village in terms of friends, TV, society, etc. Your immediate family is no longer the only key influence in a child's life. Dion, I'm bigging you up on that one because I totally agree. I think TV plays a part. I think you're ignorant I think you'll be ignorant to kind of ignore that.
Yeah, but then
if you put your child in front of a TV and makes it do and allows the TV to do your job, then you've got a serious problem. Let me finish.
Influence. It's not about me putting my child in front.
We were all influenced by TV.
Yeah, okay.
What's different now than the one about 20 years ago?
Well, the world's different from start. Come on, man.
But you're talking like the no bad people from
From our generation.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I watch nonsense on TV, bro. Okay.
Yeah, but you think of only you and your circle. It's a lot bigger than us.
Yeah, but
no, because my view is that I don't personally believe that TV, music, and has such an influence that people make out that it does.
No,
I think it's not. I'm not saying it can't.
It can
I'm
be.
saying it's not as big as people make out for it to be.
It does.
Listen. This is an age-old discussion. TV, music, blah blah blah. It regardless of whether we would like to admit it or not, it is an influence. However, it's about what you counterbalance that with. If you allow your child to be sitting in front of a TV day in day out, and you're not feeding your child with something that's going to counterbalance that, you're not saying to your child, go out and play in. Listen, when we were of a certain age, we went out and played. It's not like that now. Of course, times are different. But you've got to find ways to get around that. You can't just sit down and accept the fact and say, oh, well, yeah, TVs are influenced, or there's outside factors that are influenced now, and that's why our child is different. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. You parents need to look at themselves and say, okay, what am I not doing in order to
I need to touch on some things as well. Just a reaction to some of the things that we're saying, which is important for me to get out. Cherry Knowles has said, Darren, your children are very lucky to have you as their dad. Yeah, respect to that. Yeah, thank you very much.
What about me though?
One second, we get to that.
I'm off though.
Hold on.
I'm off. Listen, I will mess smash up this stream, yeah, because I can't handle moths. Yeah, big up, Fens. Logical talk. Yeah, that's from Airs. And we've got here, how many pastors' daughters do you know? Big generalization. Shout out to Nick. That is from Fliss. And Shireen has said, Nick, did you read up on that or do you know from experience? Question mark, rhetorical. I'm going to keep moving.
You know who?
Nancy has said, yes, unruly children do exist. Work in a secondary school depends on who they're hanging out with. Peer pressure has a lot to do with it. But the one thing I will say is that when they're speaking about secondary school children, I think that is all about, well, apart from me maybe, is all about children. Our children are not at that age yet for us to kind of, to kind of speak on, apart from obviously maybe myself and Dwayne. Single parents has nothing to do with a child's upbringing. If the child is bad, the child is bad. That's coming from Caroline.
Thank you, Caroline.
I can't agree with that.
Michelle Lee has said, yeah, shout out.
Well,
It may be easier.
Children need boundaries. They need to be molded, taught right from wrong, and their innocence need to be protected. A lot of children are allowed to do, hear, and see everything and everything. Listen, this moth is trolling us on a madness, yeah, and I can't control myself. I'm trying. Listen, yes, whatever, but I'm trying to control the stream. Right, TV is completely different compared to 15 years ago. This is to Dwayne. Children are a lot more advanced. For example, child pregnancy was not a thing 20 years ago. Now we see it on TV shows. I think that is a very, very good point.
So then you've got to monitor what your child is watching on the TV.
Can I just say
one?
That's an interesting one. I like that point.
I think in terms of influence, I think
Pussy or is in right now.
Go.
It's on you, fam. It's sitting on you, fam.
Stop. Go on.
them guys are preoccupied by moths. It's the light. It's the light.
Hey, say what you're saying.
All right. So I think the biggest influence of children right now. So Craig, the biggest influence right now is friends. So these that are preoccupied with the moth.
Come on.
I think we're gonna leave it there, guys, because like the moth is kind of making it one.
All right, listen, we're being trolled by the moth. Everyone's kind of lost their chain of thought.
I can't believe it.
I'm going to take last comments just from people, just kind of wrap up. So basically, obviously, we've spoke about the subject. Do bad kids exist, or is it bad parenting? Nick, what's your final words?
I think that it's a mixture of both. I don't mean to be on the fence. I think it is a bit of both. I think the kids' main influence is friends nowadays, though. So I think when they get to a certain age, I think more secondary school age, friends have a big part to play, and that can influence. So no matter how good a parent you are, if your child is influenced by friends, then that can be an issue.
Dwayne?
Whilst I understand what Nick is saying, as far as I'm concerned, that there are different measures for each child. And whether they get teenage years or not, if they've got that healthy fear or respect of their parents, then they know what they can and cannot get away with. And if they've got respect for you or a healthy fear, they're not going to do certain things. So I believe that the vast majority, I'm not saying it can't be a bad child, but for the vast majority of the situations, I think your parenting is behind most of it.
Yeah, you don't know my stance already. It's bad parenting all the way for me. But what I want to say is to parents out there, like, what I've seen is that a lot of us, we live, like, look how big this world is. And we live in one section of this world and stay in a section of it. Like, allow your children to go out and experience the world. Take them traveling. Let them see different cultures. Do you know what I mean? Broaden their horizons. Yeah? So that then you can kind of see, allow them to their personality to just flourish. Do you know what I mean? Friends are a factor. But if you instill the core values in them from early on, if you instill the necessary discipline in them from early on, trust me, that will be their guiding star.
Yeah, pretty much saying the same thing that the guys have said, but also something we touched on earlier about friends and their kids and everything. Like we need to encourage that more. Like, you know, bring your friends' kids around your kids, because generally your friends are like-minded like you, so, and their kids are going to be brought up well. Like I know that if my son is around any of the kids around here, like from these boys, they're around good people, and that's the kind of thing you kind of need to encourage. Just encourage the good circles that they're in, because you can't control what's at school, but you can control everything that's outside of that.
Just obviously from my point of view, obviously I'm on the thing where it's more horses for courses and obviously adaptable parenting, but communicate with each other, guys. I think it's fair to say that everybody has experience. Almost everyone who's watching this thing with children, we need to talk about each other's experiences so that we can learn and obviously not kind of trip up at the same points. I've learned so many things from the guys around this table just in terms of their parenting, which has made me a better parent. But you don't get that unless you open your mind, open your mouths and actually talk. And that doesn't always have to mean that, it's me just calling to say, you know what, my son done this, ain't that great? Yeah. It sometimes is, you know what, my son's fucked up with this. What have I done wrong? Because that's the first thing I'm looking at when my son does wrong is me. And, or I should say myself and my wife as parents. Couple in the stream, and we talk about having respect. And one thing I did want to mention is I don't want my sons to ever fear me. I want them to have reverence for me. And I think there's a massive difference, and I don't think that was ever touched on. But fear and reverence is very, very different thing. My dad never put his hands on me, but he's never had to, because yes, I have done bad. I'm not perfect, but trust me, it's never against him in that respect. So that's what I mean in terms of reverence. Guys, thank you again for obviously watching us on the stream. I'm going to come to Nick just to kind of wrap us up, and we will see you guys next week.
Yeah, just a couple of things, guys. I think it's when we speak fear, it's not fear of ourselves, it's fear of consequences is the issue. I want to thank everyone for watching us, continue to watch us and sharing us and supporting us, and honestly it means a lot to all of us, not just me. It means a lot to all of us. Like, as much as you think it's just a couple guys sitting around the table, we spend like every day in the week kind of prepping for this, so it means a lot having your feedback and your input. Please keep any topics coming, any comments coming, share, follow us on YouTube, SoundCloud,
Instagram now,
Twitter.
yeah.
Like, we're on most
everything.
We out here.
Listen, we're trying to do something positive out here, guys. And listen, just so you guys know as well, there have been 3 parents that I've noticed in the stream. There could be more. So I want to shout out Dwayne's mum, Roslyn. I've seen you in the stream, whether it's on this one or the last one. Our parents as well, we're talking about. I want to big up Angela, who I've seen on the stream. Obviously, big up Darren, yeah. And also Michelle, my mum, yeah, big you up as well. I see you there in the background. If I've missed out any of the others, I'm sure Nick's mum and Marlon's mum will come and check me, because I should have said their name. But listen, guys, we appreciate you.
Man, we've got people watching from all around the world.
Yeah, listen, this is going out there. Yeah, we want it to stretch.
So I appreciate those that have stayed up and stuff. Thank you, like, because you stayed up late. To
You've
watch
contributed
us.
to this.
You're in Australia, Jamaica, America, like.
One more thing before Dwayne speaks, and we are going to end it here. Happy honeymoon, G, as well. The last thing as well is we split this thing into 2 different streams. We debate all week. Believe me, guys, we go back and forth. Do you prefer one continuously long stream, where we're just obviously talking about different subjects and we could go on for an hour and a half? Or do you prefer it broken up the way it is, in terms of half an hour to 45 minutes? Probably 50 minutes on this one, and obviously have them separate. And obviously, if the topics and subjects that we speak about, please come to us, let us know. One of the subjects we spoke about today is from someone, we call them Gammers, yeah, Grown Arse Men affiliates, yeah. So if you're contributing, yeah, you're a gamma out there, yeah. Guys, thank you very much. We're out.